From hidden tombs to lost kingdoms, the ancient world is filled with rulers whose stories remain shrouded in mystery. But what if these figures were more than just legends? Who were the most enigmatic rulers, and what secrets have they taken to the grave? Let's uncover the truth behind the most mysterious rulers in ancient history. Cleopatra VII, the last ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, remains one of the most iconic and mysterious figures in ancient history. Her name is synonymous with power, beauty, and political intrigue. But beneath the layers of myth and legend lies a woman who shaped the fate of an empire. What is it about Cleopatra that continues to captivate the imagination of people around the world? Was she truly the seductive queen portrayed in films? Or was there much more to her than meets the eye? Cleopatra was born into the royal Ptolemaic family in 69 BCE, a dynasty that had ruled Egypt for nearly 3 centuries. The Ptolemies, of Greek descent, often struggled with their Egyptian subjects and the complex politics of the region. Cleopatra's reign began at a turbulent time for Egypt. Her father Ptolemy XII was weak and unpopular, and upon his death, Cleopatra was set to co-rule Egypt with her younger brother Ptolemy XIII. However, the political instability soon led to a power struggle between the two siblings. At the age of 18, Cleopatra's intelligence and political savvy became evident. She managed to not only regain her throne, but also secure her position as the sole ruler of Egypt. But how did she do this? The answer lies in her relationships with powerful Roman leaders. Cleopatra formed alliances with 2 of the most influential men in Roman history, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Her relationship with Caesar began when she visited him in Rome and became his lover. Together, they had a son, Caesarion. And Cleopatra's political ambitions seemed to align perfectly with Caesar's desire to expand Roman influence over Egypt. But Cleopatra's most mysterious partnership was with Mark Antony, Roman general, and one of the leading figures in the Roman Republic. The two fell deeply in love and formed a political alliance that would shake the foundations of the Roman world. Cleopatra's decision to align herself with Antony rather than Rome. More traditional powers raise questions about her true intentions. Was she a shrewd political operator, or was she simply a victim of her circumstances, trying to secure Egypt's survival in a world dominated by Rome? Cleopatra's reign ended in tragedy. After Antony's defeat by Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus, Cleopatra and Antony took their own lives in 30 BCE. The death of Cleopatra marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and Egypt's independence. But even in death, Cleopatra's story remains enigmatic. Her legacy is a combination of myth and history, her true character hidden behind the veil of her alliances, and her tragic end. Was Cleopatra a ruthless queen who used her beauty and intelligence to manipulate the men around her? Or was she a leader fighting for the survival of her people in a world where power was dominated by men? The mystery of Cleopatra endures, with historians and scholars still debating her true motives and actions. Was she a cunning strategist who played the Roman power game to her advantage, or was she simply an ambitious woman caught in the whirlwind of historical forces beyond her control? As we dive deeper into the lives of other mysterious rulers, Cleopatra remains a symbol of the complexities of power, survival, and the blurred lines between legend and reality. One of the most elusive rulers of the ancient world is Sargon of Akkad, the first emperor in recorded history. His reign marks the beginning of a new era in the ancient world, yet much about his life and legacy remains shrouded in mystery. Born as Sargon the Great, his rise to power and the details of his reign are largely speculative. And many questions still remain about the man who founded the Akkadian Empire in Mesopotamia around 2334 BCE. Sargon's story begins with an extraordinary rise from humble beginnings. According to legend, he was born as an unknown child in the city of Azupiranu, a place that has yet to be conclusively identified. Some texts suggest that he was the son of a priestess, but his exact parentage is not clearly recorded. He is said to have started as a cupbearer to the king of Kish, a city-state in Sumer. The leap from cupbearer to king is an extraordinary one, and it remains one of the most debated aspects of Sargon's early life. How did this man, with no royal blood, come to conquer and rule one of the greatest empires of the ancient world? In around 2334 BCE, Sargon launched a series of military campaigns that would change the course of history. He conquered the Sumerian city-states in southern Mesopotamia, eventually uniting them under his rule and establishing the Akkadian Empire. This was an empire that stretched from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea, an accomplishment that had never been seen before. Sargon's military genius and ability to build a centralized empire were unprecedented, making him one of the most influential leaders of his time. Yet, despite his remarkable achievements, Sargon left few records of his life and reign. The most significant mystery surrounding Sargon is his legacy. The few inscriptions that do exist, including the famous Sargon inscription, offer insight into his accomplishments, but little about his personal life. Most of what we know about Sargon comes from later Akkadian kings, who looked to him as a model of leadership. These records are often written in the third person, emphasizing his victories and leadership, but not providing much about his inner world. Another key aspect of the mystery of Sargon lies in the rise and fall of his empire. While he was able to unite a vast region under his control, the Akkadian Empire did not last long after his death. His successors struggled to maintain the empire, and within a few generations, it crumbled under internal conflict and external invasions. The reasons for the empire's collapse remain unclear, but some scholars suggest that Sargon's policies of forced assimilation and centralized control may have created tensions that eventually led to its downfall. Even more puzzling is the fate of Sargon himself. After his death, his tomb was lost, and no definitive evidence of his burial site has ever been found. Some believe that his remains may be hidden beneath the ruins of the ancient city of Akkad, but the exact location of the city itself has never been conclusively identified. The mystery of Sargon's final resting place is compounded by the absence of detailed records about his death. Did Sargon die a natural death, or was he assassinated, perhaps by one of his own? Without concrete evidence, these questions remain unanswered. Despite the gaps in our understanding of Sargon's life, his legacy as the founder of the Akkadian Empire endures. His reign marked a shift in the ancient world from city-states to large, centralized empires, and his influence can still be felt in the empires that followed. Yet the man who united Mesopotamia and built one of the earliest empires remains one of the most mysterious rulers in ancient history. Was Sargon truly the architect of an empire, or was he simply a figurehead of a larger historical movement that we have yet to fully comprehend? The answers to these questions may remain hidden forever, but the mystery of Sargon's life continues to captivate historians and enthusiasts alike. Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, is a figure whose legacy looms large over Chinese history. Known for unifying China in 221 BCE and initiating large-scale projects such as the Great Wall, his reign is often regarded as a turning point in Chinese civilization. However, the mystery surrounding his life and death reveals a much more complex and enigmatic ruler. Despite his achievements, Emperor Qin's story is shrouded in unanswered questions and conflicting narratives, making him one of the most mysterious rulers in ancient history. Qin Shi Huang's rise to power was nothing short of extraordinary. Born in 259 BCE as Ying Song, he became the king of Qin at the tender age of 13 after his father's death. What followed was a rapid series of military conquests as he sought to bring together the warring states of China. In 221 BCE, he succeeded in unifying the country under a single imperial rule, establishing the Qin dynasty. This was a monumental achievement that laid the foundation for future Chinese empires. But how did a young king manage to conquer such vast territories, and what was his vision for China? Qin Shi Huang's leadership was marked by sweeping reforms, some of which remain controversial to this day. He standardized currency, weights and measures, and even the written script, ensuring greater unity across the newly unified empire. His legalist philosophy, which emphasized strict laws and harsh punishments, laid the groundwork for a powerful centralized government. However, it also sparked widespread fear and resentment among the populace, with many viewing the emperor as a tyrant. His rule was ruthless, and his determination to consolidate power left many to question his methods. How far was Qin Shi Huang willing to go to ensure his vision of China was realized? Perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding Emperor Qin is his obsession with immortality. Throughout his reign, Qin Shi Huang became increasingly fixated on finding the secret to eternal life. This obsession led him to send expeditions to find the mythical elixir of life, and he even employed alchemists and magicians in search of a potion that would grant him immortality. Despite his wealth and power, this quest proved fruitless. But his fear of death continued to grow, and he became paranoid about his eventual demise. In his final years, Qin Shi Huang took extreme measures to protect himself, including creating an elaborate system of underground tombs and ordering the construction of the famous terracotta army. Thousands of life-size clay soldiers buried with him to protect his spirit in the afterlife. This obsession with immortality raises a profound question. Was Qin Shi Huang's entire rule driven by a fear of mortality and an intense desire to control death itself? The mystery deepens when we consider the emperor's death. In 210 BCE, Qin Shi Huang died unexpectedly during a tour of eastern China. The official cause of death was reportedly natural, but rumors soon spread that the emperor had been poisoned. Was Qin Shi Huang's death a result of his dangerous pursuit of immortality, or was it the consequence of foul play? Some historians speculate that his fear of death may have led him to consume toxic substances in an attempt to stave off aging. Others suggest that palace intrigue or the dissatisfaction of his court could have played a role. The true cause of his death remains one of the most debated aspects of his reign. Even after his death, Qin Shi Huang's empire did not last long. His son, Qin Shi, succeeded him, but his reign was marked by instability, and the Qin dynasty collapsed just a few years later. Despite his accomplishments, Qin Shi Huang's empire crumbled after his death, and his legacy was tarnished by rebellion and the eventual rise of the Han dynasty. But the questions surrounding his life and death continue to intrigue historians. What motivated Qin Shi Huang's relentless quest for power and immortality? Was he a visionary ruler who laid the foundations for a unified China? Or was he a paranoid tyrant whose obsession with death led to his undoing? In the centuries that followed, Qin Shi Huang became a figure of legend, his life entwined with myths and mystery. Was he a man driven by an ambition to build an eternal empire, or was he simply a ruler consumed by his fear of the inevitable? The terracotta army, standing guard over his tomb, serves as a lasting reminder of the emperor's obsession with immortality. But in the end, Qin Shi Huang's greatest mystery may be how a man who sought to conquer death could ultimately fall prey to it. His legacy, like his life, remains a complex puzzle that may never be fully understood. King Tutamon, often referred to simply as King Tut, is one of the most famous pharaohs of ancient Egypt. Despite the fact that he ruled for a mere 10 years and died at the young age of 18, his tomb, discovered by archaeologist Howard Carter in 1922, is one of the most significant archaeological finds in history, filled with treasures that have provided incredible insight into ancient Egyptian life. However, despite the wealth and artifacts that were found in his tomb, many questions about King Tut's reign, death, and legacy remain unanswered. Was he truly a powerful ruler, or did he exist as a mere figurehead in a period of political instability? Tutankhamun was born around 1341 BCE, during the reign of his father, the controversial pharaoh Akhenaten, who is known for attempting to introduce monotheism by worshipping the sun disk Aton instead of Egypt's traditional gods. After Akhenaten's death, Egypt was left in turmoil, and Tutankhamun, who was likely just a child, ascended to the throne at the age of 9. His early reign was heavily influenced by his advisors, as he was too young to rule independently. The famous Restoration Stele, which is believed to have been issued during his reign, reveals that Tutankhamun reversed his father's religious reforms and restored the traditional polytheistic practices of Egypt. This suggests that, while Tut was king, he was not the one calling the shots. But what role, if any, did he play in the decisions made during his reign? The mystery of King Tut deepens when we consider his untimely death. In 1323 BCE, when he was just 18 years old, Tucumon died suddenly and unexpectedly. The cause of his death has been the subject of intense speculation. Some historians believe that he may have died from an infection caused by a broken leg, while others suggest that he suffered from a genetic disorder or malaria. Recent studies, however, have proposed that Tutankhamun's death may have been the result of a combination of factors, including a weakened immune system, which could have made him more susceptible to illness and infection. What is clear is that his death was sudden, and it left Egypt in a vulnerable state. King Tut's mysterious death raised further questions when his tomb was discovered. Despite the incredible treasures inside, there was an unusual lack of royal inscriptions or detailed records about the king's life and reign. The discovery of the tomb's hidden chambers revealed the opulence with which Tut's life was celebrated in death, but the absence of detailed documentation about his rule left many wondering about the true nature of his reign. Was he truly an important pharaoh, or was he just a puppet king in a time of political instability? Moreover, the tomb's location hidden deep within the Valley of the Kings suggests that someone may have gone to great lengths to conceal his burial. Did this reflect the power Tutankhamun wielded during his short reign, or did it hint at the fears surrounding his legacy? One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding King Tut is the curse of the pharaohs, a legend that arose following the deaths of several individuals involved in the excavation of his tomb. After the tomb was opened in 1922, Lord Carnarvon, the financial backer of the excavation, died suddenly, and several others who were involved in the discovery of the tomb also met untimely deaths. This led to widespread rumors that Tutankhamun's tomb had been cursed by the ancient Egyptians. While modern scholars dismiss the idea of a curse as mere superstition, the mystery of the deaths surrounding the tomb only added to the intrigue surrounding King Tut's life and death. Despite the lack of detailed records, King Tut's tomb has provided historians with a wealth of information about ancient Egyptian burial practices, art, and daily life. The incredible treasures found inside golden masks, jewelry, weapons, and furniture have given us a glimpse into the wealth and opulence of the ancient Egyptian elite. Yet, the identity of the young king, his role in his reign, and the true cause of his death remain one of the great mysteries of ancient history. Was King Tut a powerful ruler in his own right? Or was he simply a forgotten figure whose tomb was preserved because of the political intrigue surrounding his death and burial? In the end, the mystery of King Tutankhamun endures. His name may be synonymous with riches and archaeological wonder, but the true story of his life and death remains shrouded in uncertainty. What we know for certain is that his legacy, though perhaps not as grand as some of the other pharaohs of Egypt, has had an enduring impact, capturing the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and the public alike. And as we continue to search for answers, the enigma of King Tut will likely remain one of the most captivating mysteries in the Han Dynasty is often remembered as one of the greatest periods in Chinese history, yet one of its most enigmatic emperors remains largely forgotten. Emperor Zhong of Han, who reigned from 75 BCE to 33 BCE, is a ruler who, despite his significant contributions to the empire, is shrouded in mystery. Unlike the more famous emperors of the Han, such as Emperor Wu, Emperor Zhong's life and reign were not as well documented, and much about his rule remains unclear. But what we do know about Zhong offers a fascinating glimpse into the complexities of imperial China and the challenges faced by a young emperor in a time of political intrigue. Zhong was born in 94 BCE as the son of Emperor Cheng, and ascended to the throne at a young age after his father's death. His reign began when he was just 16 years old, and he quickly became embroiled in the struggles of the royal court. Despite his youth, Emperor Zhong was known for his intelligence and was particularly skilled at navigating the complex political landscape of the Han court. One of his early accomplishments was consolidating power by eliminating his rivals, including his own cousins and other members of the royal family, who were seen as threats to his rule. In doing so, Zhong solidified his authority and began to shape the direction of the Han dynasty. Yet despite his success in securing his position, Emperor Zheng's reign was marked by tensions within his court. His most notable conflict was with his mother, Empress Dowager Wang, who exercised significant influence over the empire during his early years as emperor. The relationship between Zheng and his mother was strained, as she sought to control the empire through her position of power, while Zheng sought to assert his own authority. This tension culminated in a dramatic showdown in 51 BCE, when Zheng, frustrated by his mother's interference, had her removed from the imperial court. This bold move strengthened Zheng's control over the empire, but it also created a deep rift within the royal family, which would have long-lasting effects on the empire's stability.